program has been rated GE by the Kenya Film Classification Board. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
Hello viewer, welcome to Chungu cha Jamii. My name is Betty Akuku. I am your host today and I am so excited to be joined by a gentleman who is going to be talking to us about personal financing, especially with this COVID-19. I know we have been home for quite some time now, and like I said, truly life is never just in black and white. We had many goals. We had financial goals when we started the year. We are now just starting the month of April, and a lot of our goals have had to be shut down. Of course, there are people who are still able to carry on and do some work, and some people are really stranded, and financially, we are not able to move at all. I want to invite a gentleman in studio, to join me through Zoom. As you know, right now we are keeping safe, we are washing hands, we are also keeping the social distancing. And because of this, I'm not able to have my guest in studio, but he's going to join us to talk about personal financing. I would like to introduce my guest. Please welcome and introduce yourself, sir.
Thank you, Betty. My name is Wahome Ngari.
Yeah.
I am a financial literacy coach. I am the chief executive at the Personal Finance Academy here in Nairobi. And we spend our time helping people to have a good relationship with their money through financial literacy programs. So at the academy, we train people. I'm the lead trainer. I also do financial counseling. I'm a consultant. I do consulting work. So even in these times when there's lockdown, when there's containment, I think we still need to maintain a good relationship with our money.
Okay. Thank you. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
I look at the situation around us right now, and as you correctly put it, we are on lockdown, and many businesses are not running. Some people are also not on salary, and so they have very little money left. I don't know what your advice right now is to people who have some little money and are not sure about when they're going to get the next income.
Just like you said, we are at different seasons. There are people who are still in business.
Yeah.
There are people who business is actually doing very well this season. I mean, look at all the people selling sanitizers.
And masks.
We're looking at the people in the food chain.
Yes.
We are looking at the people, some of the people in the healthcare business. They're doing well. There are people who are home on working from home. There are people who are home on leave.
Yes.
There are people on forced leave. There are people who have lost income. So I think we generate in very, very many different bands. But at the moment, the subject that we will be looking at is what we call contingency execution. There before we were looking at contingency planning. And contingency planning is looking at two things.
Yeah.
Just in case we did not have the financial resources and a financial emergency cropped up, how do we address it? We're looking at simple basic things that happen every now and then. You're driving to work and your car stalls in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
And that essentially means you need to get it out of there, and that will call for money.
Yes.
The question is, where will that kind of money come from? Or you just lost your phone. And you know, nowadays, without a phone, we can't actually be able to do a lot.
True.
Now, that's one dimension of contingency planning. Now, the other dimension, which has come real, is if we get separated from our income. And there are many things that can get us to be separated from our income. Health is one.
Yes.
I think we can actually see sometimes businesses close or burn down.
Yes.
We have situations like now when people lose their jobs for whatever circumstances, we are separated by income. Now, contingency planning is trying to foresee those circumstances and preparing for them.
Okay.
And the practical advice that we always give people in our training programs as we help them is to have what we can call a war chest, a contingency fund.
Okay.
money that we can really access in circumstances like that. But where we are now, we're not planning. We have to execute.
True.
And just like you said, we are at different stations.
Yes.
There are people who still having an income, and those can consistently go ahead and save. And when we're talking about saving, we actually look at money that can actually be able to pay our bills for a duration of 6 months.
Yes.
You know, if lockdown continued for 6 months, that's what we say to be ideal. But different people will be at different places. There are people who can sustain the 6 months and beyond. There are people who might sustain 3 months. There are people who might sustain a month. There are people who might sustain a shorter period of time.
Yeah.
So if we are at the point of execution, now I think the first thing is to acknowledge where we are.
Yes.
And the way we acknowledge where we are is to actually ask ourselves, what is the total spend for me for a month? And how much money do I have? And that will help me to see how far can it be able to carry me through.
Yes.
But as we're looking at that, now once you're able to determine how long it can carry you through, then we look at two other things. Can I downgrade the spend? Can I spend less? And some of the things are naturally coming. If you're working from home, now your cost of moving to work is not there. Although that seems to be compensated by the number of calls and meetings that you have to hold on phone.
Yeah.
I know, beautiful as we always want to look at, we are not visiting the salon that many times. So we have to scale down some of the expenses that we have. We have to intentionally scale down. But as we're scaling down, I know there are challenges. The children should have been in school.
Yes.
We have paid school fees, but now they are home and we have to feed them.
Yes.
So we have to look at how do we sustain, how do we reduce our expenses and continue with our lifestyle. Now,
I like
the other thing that we have to look at, okay?
I was saying,
Yes, go on, Betty.
yes, I like the example that you gave, that normally, you know, when your car breaks down on the road, you have to get somebody to fix it, and that requires money. But now we are completely separated from our sources of income, and we are not sure of any money coming in, except for the few that are still making money, for the few that are still in business, you know. But for those who had saved a little, whose character is saving, and now as you say that probably 6 months, this can take them through. And you're bringing in something that, you know, they now need to scale down their expenditure so that they're able to beat the 6 months. And you've also brought in the point of, you know, children are now home, and now that means they're consuming more than usual, and we have no income. The kinds of people that you have and the different categories that you have right now, let's put aside the ones who are still earning, because they're not feeling the pinch as those
they're the
who,
fewer.
yes, they're the fewer also. Majority are home, not working from home, and not receiving any income. With their normal pay, probably they saved a little. You know, they cannot get back the school fees they paid. They have probably to get off some assets to be able to survive. Please talk to these kinds of people. How are they supposed to live moving forward with the uncertainty of, you know, this pandemic that we are in? No one knows. You know, if we knew it's going to take the next 1 or 2 months, then we can plan around that. But now there's so much uncertainty. We are not really sure, you know, when is this going to come to an end? How do we behave with our finances? What do we do? What don't we do at this time? Do we eat 1 meal a day? Do we stop buying credit? Do we stop the Wi-Fi? What bills do we cut off? We still have to pay a lot of bills around us. Yes.
Yes. Just like you said, I think for now we can safely leave out the person who's still having an income.
Yes.
Because they're not going to have. But before we leave them, they need to save.
Okay, they need to save. Okay.
Because you never know what will eventually happen to those people.
True.
We can address the person who has a contingency fund. They had saved.
Yes.
And so I said, if somebody falls in that bracket, then they actually can be able to tell out how long their money can sustain them.
Okay.
Because if, say, my spend per month is 50,000 and I have 200,000 somewhere, then I am sure 4 months I'm covered.
True.
But what we are saying is try and extend it now from covering you for 4 months see if it can cover you for 6 months.
Yes.
And this is where we are saying scale down. Let's see what we can scale down. Now, there are obviously other people who have a worse off position,
Yeah.
that they are much short of what resources they have at hand. And I think that's where there's a challenge.
Yeah.
And that's when we become a community. And this is where I think the appeal is coming in. In the community where we live,
Yeah.
we actually know who is more vulnerable. And we can actually now step out as a community and work together and help each other. You know, there's that time when we actually have to work as a community.
Yeah.
In a neighborhood that I know, people have looked at each other and they have said maybe the people guarding our gate are more vulnerable.
Okay.
And what they have done is to try and put some resources together to help those because they are part of that community. So that's going to be one side of it. But I think ultimately, if not knowing how long this will be,
Yeah.
I do not see the government running away from this responsibility at some point. We will have to feed the people at some point. And that's why we always have the Nyumba Kumi, and we have our infrastructure. We got churches, we got welfare organizations. So we might be reduced to that level for some people because there are people who may not be able to run for a week. Now, Nairobi and environments have been cut off from the other parts of the country.
Yeah.
So people are getting closed down. So I think this is what we call self-preservation, and I think that's the way we need to look at it. Self-preservation. You must have seen, I think, messages on social media that the world has been put in the garage for service. Now, if the world goes to garage for service, and that's why there are no people on the streets of big cities, Rome, Paris. If you go to Nairobi even now, it looks like a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Very few people. Now, at a personal level, we need to do personal preservation.
Yes.
And we borrow from nature. Now, if you think about whether you're looking at animals, whether you're looking at insects, and especially where there is winter, what they do is they hibernate.
True.
Where the seasons are that bad. At a personal level, we need to look for ways of hibernating. And hibernating is scaling down.
Okay.
Scaling down. So that now I can be able to sustain myself this far. As I scale down, I want to help my neighbor. And where we can't, that's where we pay taxes so that government can come through for us. So those who have the means actually need to start getting government to think about supporting those who are the very lower part of the ranks of society. I don't know whether that makes sense.
Yes, it does. People who are receiving, there are people who have received a pay cut, you know, and so their salary is not as it was. It has come to maybe half, or they have taken off 20 or 30%, you know. Talking about scaling down, what exactly would we cut off at this time? Because there are things that, Mr. Wahome, we cannot do without. You know,
True.
There is a way we cannot explain to our children that we shall not have food. You know, it takes time. It's such a process, especially with those who have small children. You know, what exactly would you advise that we cut down? Of course, no one is going to the fast food restaurant to take some pizzas and burgers. Those things we have already cut down by default, you know. So what exactly do we cut down? Because right now, as it is, I guess everyone is on the basic, you know. What more?
We might actually assume everybody is on the basic, but everybody knows themselves. It is only people who can be able to determine how far lower can I go. Am I at the tip end, or can I still go much lower? And you know, like I said, people make judgments, and you know, we've been to school. We learned the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So we know the very basic is that we need water and we need food. Okay?
And maybe now, 1 meal per day for now. Maybe we can do with a meal per day, you know, when the worst gets the worst.
Maybe we are not at that point.
Okay.
Before we go down a meal a day, we might have to drop the sausages.
Okay.
If they were there, isn't it? Okay, we might drop a few additives to the bread if it was still there, or we might actually make bread ourselves in a house instead of buying it from somewhere. So I think it's a question of scaling down, taking in consideration nutritional needs, because even when we are doing scaling down, we must make sure we are healthy, because it is important that we maintain our immunity.
Yes.
So even as we're scaling down, we need to look at now what has more nutritional value, what's going to give us much more than what. And I'm sure people who run our kitchens are always conscious of those things. They can be able to help. Now, there's another dimension that we need to look at.
Yes.
We have a lot of time in our hands. We have been forced into a compulsory digital economy. Because now, like you see, you are in the studio, I'm
Yes.
actually in the house,
Yes.
and we can actually be able to transact.
True.
And so the question is, how can I make some money in this economy that is digital? Is there something I can be able to do?
Yes.
Basically, do I have knowledge that I can actually share with somebody and maybe earn a shilling or two?
Exactly,
Do I have
Mr.
a
Wahome.
skill?
That is what
Do I have
I
a
was.
skill?
That is what I was gonna come to next, because of the people who are actually receiving nothing at all, and people who are not on any pay cut, they're not on any salary, people who are basically living on a hand-to-mouth basis, you know. Is
Yes,
our talk,
yes.
how relevant can our talk be to them? Because as you have mentioned technology right now, it's a good
Yeah.
thing. Now, right now, we're able to connect on Zoom, right? But there's
Yeah.
the other person who is living on a hand-to-mouth basis, you know. Would
Yeah.
they die just because of this crisis, and not because of the disease, but because of hunger, you know? How else are they able to come out of where they are and not depend on a salary? How do they continue living their lives and getting their finances?
If you go to the very, very bottom of the run, the
Yes.
very, very bottom, if you think there's a bottom that's got a bottom, that's why I'm saying we are society and we have a responsibility to those ones at the very bottom. Because maybe they have no other chance. I mean, this person has been in a construction site. Now the construction site is closed.
Yeah.
They do not even have the knowledge, they don't have even the skills. This is what we are appealing to government. We are appealing to the community to ensure that that person has a meal. Because, I mean, we cannot expect more from that person. Okay? From where they are, that's the basic that they can do. But there's somebody else who's got a slightly better position. Maybe all they have outside their home is
Yeah.
a small garden.
Yes.
They can grow a bit of vegetables in that small garden. Okay, so everybody is at different levels. So when I'm looking at people who can be able to do something in the digital economy, I'm not looking at everybody, because I know there are people who are not yet at that point. So I think everybody in by their own means. We're looking at what else can I be able to do from where I am, and if I'm completely hard up, then I'm saying, can we be able to provide for the ones at the very bottom of our society? Because we've been told many times, and I think it's very true, we don't have shortage of food, okay? Just that people will not have money to buy it. And if people don't have money to buy it, I keep saying again, that's why we pay taxes. We might redirect money from things we had scheduled to do. For now, we sustain life, so that then we can be able to do these things when we are gone past this pandemic.
But no one is controlling our finances, Mr. Wahome. It's all in our hands to do whatever we wish with them. And a
Yes,
lot
yes,
of people
yes.
also do not have the knowledge, and they're not seeing the future, you know. They actually think that it is, well, this is going to be enough to sustain us. And so they're just there living life the normal way, you know. No one is already certain of what is going to happen 6 months after this. These people
Yes.
who have a little money, do they just save it in their home and scale down? For how long can they do this, Mr. Wahome?
I think there's nobody who can answer that question. We have not seen anybody who can answer that question. People have given us projections, and people have given us dates. We can look at countries who say they've gone beyond the plateau. If, for example, we just look at China, this is taken them from December up to now.
Yes.
Those are about 5 months.
Yes, true.
And we know they are a country that has the resources. They are a country that were able to do many things that maybe we are not able to do as a country, and they were able to go over it for a short time. So there's nobody who's got certainty. And that's why I talked about self-preservation. When we're doing self-preservation, we reduce to a day at a time. a day at a time. Because if you have some money, you will spend your money, you will downgrade your life up to the point where you don't have any more, and then you're going to join the queue of those ones who are looking for government support. But if you have a way out, maybe you can use the digital economy to do a few things. There are people making face masks at the moment. Okay? So there are people who are actively getting to do something. I've seen people, somebody is able to do some tuition or some coaching to people, or maybe train people how to bake cakes or something. So there are people still making some income in this environment. So I think everybody as per their own means. And there's one thing, nature is always fair to us. We all have a defense mechanism naturally. We have instinct. So even if we didn't get a chance to learn these things in school, because nobody learned these things in school, nature teaches us how to control ourselves, and that's why it is reduced at a personal level, and that's why we talk about personal finances. In normal circumstances, we say, since we never learned these things in school, we will learn it in class. But now we are learning it in practice. We learn as we go. If we make mistakes, they will leave us with a scar. If we don't make a mistake, we will be able to live a few more days. So there can be a definite solution to everybody. That's what we're saying. If you have a bit of resources, stretch the resources a bit. Okay? If you can make an extra shilling in any legitimate way, try and make a shilling. If you do not have any of these, try looking for where help is going to come from. And let's remember to look for the ones who are less fortunate in our society.
That is a good thing, but only a few people can actually get to do that, look for the less fortunate, unless they're very sure they have kept enough for until when. For them to spare and give to the less fortunate is not an easy thing for many people. I'm also concerned about those who are doing businesses where they have to pay off, their staff, and they have money and they have the assets with them, they have the equipment with them. What is your advice to such kinds of people? What can they do at this time? Their employees are looking up to them, and they also have so many things to do right now, especially being employers.
Again, this self-preservation mode is not only for individuals. It goes to businesses, and it goes to governments. Now, as a business owner, I'll be worried about my business, and that's a legitimate concern. I'll be worried about my workers. Part of the reason why people have been asked to stay to work from home is just to make sure that they are not exposed to this virus. Because in all the movements, there can be risk. So business owners will try, but they have a limit. Every business owner will have a limit. And that is where government steps in. And I think the president has announced a raft of measures to try and support the businesses so that if they can be supported, they'll be able to go through this. It may not be 100% what business may be looking for. But again, self-preservation, we do the best we can in the circumstances. And that is why some employers are saying, why don't you take leave? So that now when we are done, when we come back, as and when we come back, you will not be asking for leave, so we can actually be able to put in more time to work. There are some employers who are saying, take a portion of your pay. You're better off with a portion than nothing, because we may not be generating new revenue. And that will sustain us for a while. The employers who are actually having a much worse position, we saw the flower farms. The market for flowers in Denmark was closed, so they could not sustain the workforce. So they had to stop the workforce. So again, we go back to self-preservation, and that's the mood we all be in. And so you make the best possible decision for the circumstances and the environment where you are.
So for those who still have some little money, Mr. Wahome, apart from them just scaling down, since we do not know just how far, and you advise that we scale down to the lowest that we can for now, because we don't know how long we need to use whatever we have, What else would you tell these people? How would you advise them to live, There are those who have cars, they're the middle class, who still have, things that they need to spend money on fixing. And sometimes you actually need to live out with your car, and you cannot avoid it, How else could they continue to scale down even after they have gotten to the lowest?
Let's agree, as at now, it might be difficult to start new projects. because of that uncertainty. So if you're thinking starting a new project, I think that can be shelved. Now, the other thing that we need to work on, say if you had a loan, you have an arrangement somewhere.
Yes.
I think the banks are saying, come and discuss with us.
Yes.
Because, you know, if you are on a half pay, you may not be able to service your loan. So you're better off going to discuss with the bank. Okay? If you have insurance for your car and you started you're not going to drive that car, you can actually get in touch with your insurance company and seize your insurance policy. You can actually stop your policy, provided you know you're not going to drive that car. Okay? So we are looking at you engaging the people who are expecting money from you, so that in this season, they may not have to expect a lot of money. You might downgrade the insurance that you have on the car. Maybe it was on comprehensive insurance. Now that you're not moving with it, you might actually bring it to
third party.
maybe a third-party insurance. So you're actually looking for downgrading.
Yeah.
I know there are people who are ambitious and they are taking risks. What are they doing? They're looking at the stock market and they're saying the share prices have fallen so much that there's an opportunity in there. And they're taking the risk. They're saying we can see good companies where the value has gone down 40% or 30%, and saying why not take the risk? That's how society is. Everybody according to their own means.
Yes, everyone is looking differently. Talking about the stock markets, you know, you have spoken about the loans, and I was going to ask you about those who are on mortgage right now, and you have perfectly answered already that they only need to, you know, step forward to their banks and to the people they are in this with and negotiate, you know, for some further kinds of repayment. But let's look at you've spoken about the insurance. Let's look at the people who are in the stock market, you know. Is it a time that they maybe can buy, you know, or sell whatever they have? You've spoken about the risk takers, yes, but can you also get your money from that? Is it a good thing at this time?
At the moment, I think it is not a seller's market. You cannot go and sell because you're going to lose.
Yes.
The prices have come quite down.
Yes.
Okay. So it is a time for people who are coming in to buy. But when you're buying, you're long term, you're looking long term, you're not hoping to make money in a week or a month. You actually prepare. Like you said, we don't know how long this is going to last.
Yeah.
So you're saying to yourself, I'll buy shares in this company. If it means to hold for 2 or 3 years or 5 years, I'll hold in there until it comes above the water.
Is it
So
advisable?
it is not time for anybody to go
sell.
and sell. Because if you sell, just like almost all other assets, if you own the land, this is not the right time to go and sell the land.
But if the situation pushes you to the worst,
land.
if you're pushed to the worst, Mr. Wahome, what would you advise?
Sell at a loss then, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
You see, unfortunately, if you're pushed, I mean, if you're debating having this car or actually having food for the family, you sell it at a loss. That's the reality, and that's what contingency planning was all about: avoiding to sell things at a loss, or avoiding to take expensive credit. But if we didn't have the plan, now we are going to execute, and execute means we're going to use what we have. So whatever price we get, that's what we're going to take. It's not the best thing, but again, we must do self-preservation.
I don't know whether the insurance companies are able to reduce on the premiums. You already mentioned that if you are on a comprehensive, for example, you could scale it down to a third party. Is it possible also for the insurance companies to reduce their premium to a certain lower amount so that people continue doing this but on a lower level?
I think insurance companies are open, and they are open to discuss with their clients, because if I have zero income, surely I'm not going to be able to pay, isn't it? If my income has reduced by 60%, maybe all I can be able to do is to pay 60% of what I was paying in there. So I think the insurance companies are open to that. And for people who have life insurance policies, if you have a life insurance policy and you've been paying for some time, in fact, if you want to get a soft loan, the insurance company is prepared to give you a soft loan at the moment. That's one of the facilities that you can get out of your insurance policy. It is not the best thing to stop, but it is the best thing to reduce. You can actually even reduce the amount of cover, and that reduce the amount of payment that you'll be doing every month. That's a possibility. You just need to get in touch with your insurance agent, the insurance broker, or the insurance company, and they work with you around that.
Okay. we have the children home right now. And as you think
Yes.
about scaling down, you know, it may not be easy to get someone to tuition them except for the different category of people. But if we are going to step out to do online and let them learn through that, you know, we are trying to cut down, and we are still going to be using Wi-Fi. We're going to be using a lot of electricity, you know. What do we do in such kind of a scenario? What is your advice? Do we like switch off our Wi-Fi or electricity for some time in the day and use? Because I'm just trying to get people scaled down to as low as they can with your help as a professional in this time.
Just before we scale down on Wi-Fi, and I think some children have unfettered access to Wi-Fi. Let's be careful what they are actually doing. Let's be careful what they are watching, what sites they are visiting. Because if we are not careful, when all this thing is done, we'll deal with other consequences. So I think that's important, that we be careful, that we know what they are doing. So we just don't give them the facilities, the tablet, the laptop, and the phone.
Yes.
Let's be certain what sites they are visiting, because we don't do that. And I think I've had a psychologist say there are consequences of children staying for long hours on the phone or on the laptop or the tablet, because that might end up being a medical condition, a psychotic condition. So we need to be careful on that. Now, one of the other things I've seen, there's a lot of providers who have websites or online facilities
Yes.
for tuition that are actually offering them for free. So we need to look for the ones who are offering for free that we do not need to pay. And if you can, if it's possible to download, we can actually download and work offline. That means then we can switch off our net when we are working offline. We try to be on net for minimal hours, because then we need to reserve the amount of money we are using to pay for our Wi-Fi, the amount of money we are using for MBs. But I think it's also another good opportunity for parents
Yes.
to become teachers. We are the natural teachers. Now we have a chance, and I've seen people are getting tested.
Yes.
They are doing Kiswahili, which they don't think is Kiswahili, you know. We're getting that as we have a chance also to learn.
Yes.
And actually, not only model children on what they need to learn in school, and that's what we do. We need to do other mental activities. For example, if you can actually get time to do board games with them, if you know how to play chess, or you want to learn how to play chess, you
Or
want to
Scrabble.
play, Scrabble with them, you know, that kind of thing.
Yes.
They will also learn. Also, if you can, and I think CBC is very good at this, let's go outside if you have space outside and go and learn a few things about nature. So we will enjoy the time with them, we will bond much better with them, and we'll take care of them, even as we scale down the expenses that we have around education.
Okay. Mr. Wahome, somebody also thinks differently, that since we are not moving out a lot, then the expenditure is too little, we are eating less, we are not fueling cars to go out, we are not paying transport, and basically then what we are receiving, even if it is half, it is enough. I don't know whether you agree with that or not.
I think some costs have come down. Like you said, you may not be fueling the car
Yes.
or paying for matatu. You may not be eating lunch there. You're eating lunch at home, and basically the meals you cook at home might tend to be less expensive than the ones you do at the restaurant. So some costs have come down for
Yes.
sure. Yeah, true. You know, you don't have to take your clothes laundry every now and then.
True.
In fact, my jeans, I found some nice assignment for them. And you know, jeans can do a whole week. So
Yes.
we can actually be able to do some of those things. So some costs have come down. I think the only cost that might have gone up is how much we're spending for communication or Wi-Fi. The electricity, the bill maybe not too much, because we're not
Yes.
using lights in the day, and we were all obviously going to be using lights at night.
Yes.
So I think it's a balance. The question is, do we know our expenses? Because if we did not know them before, we have nothing to compare. And I think this is a good chance for us to tell ourselves what are our expenses. One of the things we can do now is, on a daily basis, we can actually record the amount of money we are spending on a daily basis.
Yes.
So that we can actually clearly tell ourselves how much are we spending per week, how much are we spending per month. So that even when we are looking at where to reduce, we are looking at specific items, and we can see this is the item that is consuming much more than we require. So that then we can be able to say this is what we need to adjust.
That's quite a good idea right there, because then if we are going to start scaling down, then indeed first thing we need to know is where are we at, you know, what has been our expenditure and what are we spending, what are we gonna, you know, check out, what are we gonna put in that we must, what is going to remain on this list, you know. So I wish you could take us, you know, through the lists. And for those who already know the expenditure, do you think it is possible to come down from 100,000 to 50 or 40,000 per month?
Let's start by looking at the list. And before we look at the list of expenditure, the first thing we always need to look at is the amount of income, because we have varied incomes.
Yes.
Just like you said, there are people who are still getting a portion of their pay.
Yeah.
There are people who have some savings in the bank. There are people who have a unit trust, which they can actually redeem.
Yeah.
There are people who have a fixed deposit in the bank. They can actually be able to break the deposit.
There are people who are in circles also.
How much do we have?
Yes.
How much do we have? The next thing we need to do is to actually find out where the money is now going. Okay? And generally in life, your money will go to 7 different places every month.
Okay.
Does that surprise you that there are 7? Okay. And very quickly, I can run you the 7.
Yes.
The first one is, if you're a person of faith, we invest in the kingdom of God.
Okay.
And I don't think there's an exemption even with COVID-19. So we have our tithes, we have our offerings, and we have our alms.
Yes.
And we need to support our parents if they need support now.
Okay.
Even without going to see them, if they need our support, we have to support them. So that's the first cashier we need to pay.
Okay.
Now, the second cashier that we need to pay is KRA, the taxman. By the way, the taxman is not forgiving us.
But he has come down a little.
Yes, he has been forced by the government, by the president to take a little less, but he's still going to take something.
Yes,
but remember, he takes in many ways. He takes in pay as you earn. So if you're getting 50% of your pay, he's still getting something.
Yeah.
But he's still going to take a portion in VAT.
True.
He's going to take a portion in excise duty. I have not had the county government saying they are not going to charge us our rand rates and our rand rent. So we still have to pay those things.
Yes.
So now that's the second cashier, and we need to look at that so we don't neglect that cashier.
Okay.
He has a tendency to come back and bite us. Okay.
Yes.
The third cashier is our lifestyle maintenance. Maintaining our lifestyle, paying our rent, buying our food, buying our clothing, paying our bills. And I think it is in that cashier where there's a lot of reduction that can be done.
Yes,
we're going to come back and look at those reductions there. Okay. Now, the cashier number 4 is our relations. If you have children, now we paid school fees, but we have to feed them.
Yes.
Their medical care, all the things that are related, including our spouses. The fact that it's COVID-19 and we are not taking them out doesn't mean we do not need to spend maybe a bit of money on them once in a while here and there. We need to keep each other happy.
Yes.
Now, cashier number 5 is normally the community. We're still part of a community. And that is where I was saying we might need to help the unfortunate few. We have a new dimension that's cropped up, that when there's a funeral, very few people can attend. So what we are traditionally now doing is we form a WhatsApp group and people contribute to the WhatsApp group.
Yes.
And I think we're going to have a bit of that because funerals have to be done within a shorter period and less people. So we still have to pay to that cashier called the community.
Yeah.
Whether we are helping the less fortunate, whether we actually now participating in things like Harambee funerals. I know weddings are not on at the moment.
No.
And all the other things like Rorashio, those ones are not on at the moment.
Yes.
Now, the 6th cashier that we need to actually think about is investing in ourselves. Even in these circumstances, we need to invest in ourselves. I know we scaled down. We are not going to the gym.
Yes.
But we have to do some exercise.
Yes.
I know we will not go on holiday now. All holiday places are closed. But we might spend a bit of time, if we have the money, paying to study a course. Something we did not know that we might need to pay a few shillings to be able to learn. And cashier number 7 is some investment for tomorrow. Now, we're still members of the circle.
Yes,
yes. We have the insurance policy, and we have all those things.
Yes.
So when we are looking at where to reduce, those are the 7 areas we need to look through. All those 7 areas we need to look through. So we can look at cashier number 7.
Yes.
We say, this is our investment for tomorrow. Can we reduce our contribution at the chama? Can we agree as chama members? Okay. Can I reduce my contribution to the SACCO? Can I negotiate with the insurance company I pay less? Can I pay less to the bank? Okay. Now we also look at cashier number 6, and this is personal improvement.
Yes.
Maybe now I'll read the books I have. I don't have to buy new books.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of free websites and places where I can read without spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't have to pay the gym. I can actually be able to
Work
do the
out,
gym.
yes.
So there can be a reduction on that. When you look at the cashier we call the community, I
Yes.
think now a lot of community activities are down. So we can also reduce. So when you look at it that way, can you see in every cashier you have a reduction?
Yes,
So
there
that
is.
becomes easier. What we need is a tool now to capture the expenses so that now after we capture the expenses, maybe after a week or 2 weeks, we can actually classify them in those 7 cashiers. And then we start seeing which one are we going to work with.
Yes.
There are people who are good, they can use an Excel worksheet because they have that. There are people who might want to record on a notebook. There are people who can use an app on the phone because there are many facilities that we can. When we train people in the class, these are kind of tools we help people to be able to get used to so that they can be able to take charge of the finances. Because what we need to do now is to completely take charge of the finances.
Okay. I like the cashier number 4. I don't know whether it's cashier number 4 or number 5, where we have to take care of ourselves. Is it the self-care?
Okay.
You know,
that's number 3.
That's number 3. Yes, I think on that is where we can actually reduce a lot. And especially for the ladies and even for the men, there's no salon time now. This is a time you can learn how to, you know, do pedicure at home and do manicure at home. It is a time you can even buy the machine, you know, the shaving machine and learn online. It is a time you can buy a blow dry because even you cannot step out to the salon because of the social distancing rule. You know, and I also like number 1 that even at this time, as you mentioned, that COVID-19 is not an excuse to let out number 1. We still have parents and we still have our duty as Christians to, for those who are Christians, to pay their tithe and to pay their offerings, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, it's still a time to do some of those things. And surely
when you break it down like that, now like just like you see, you get it easier to see where to reduce. When you're looking at it wholesome, you can't see where.
Yes.
But when you're looking at it, just like you've looked at cashier number 3, and you're saying, I can be able to, now I don't have to buy new clothes, you know. I don't have to do my expensive pedicure, you know. I can see how I can do a bit of my hair from home or my face makeup, you know.
Yes.
All those things I can be able to. You look at where can I be able to reduce. I don't have to put my suits and then take them to the laundry after every few weeks. I can actually be able to use my t-shirts while I'm at home and still look good.
Yes.
So when you divide it like that, you will actually be able to take more control and you can actually see areas that are perfect for reduction, and at the same time, you do not neglect some areas. So the biggest role we have now to take charge is to balance out through those 7 cashiers, so that then no cashier is taking money for the other cashier.
Yes.
We have a good balance of that. You know, in your self-care, that's where your entertainment budget was, and I think that has been cut off completely. Because now you don't have to do entertainment, okay? And that a portion of that now is what might help us to push our contingency fund from month number 4 to month number 6. We can actually be able to use that resource.
Yes, I guess that is really possible. And even with the pay cuts and with the, you know, with no pay, just using what we have already saved, we are still able to survive longer. You know, instead of people just staying home and complaining and getting into depression because there's no income. You know, a lot of people right now, Mr. Wahome, they're already looking at the future with such a negative eye, and they're already getting depressed looking at what the future is bringing because they're not seeing any salary coming in. And they have children and they have rents and bills to pay, but no one is actually putting down the cashiers that are owing, you know. No one is looking at that list. They probably don't even have that list. And we are all looking at it generally and wholesomely, which is very difficult because if I just came to you and told you to scale down, you would not know. I will maybe simply say, just take tea and bread and no sausages, no eggs, and you would not understand, But if I have the list on the 7 cashiers who are asking me for money on a monthly basis, then I think it's so easy to just scale down and say, this one is out. And especially, I don't know whether it was number 6 or number 5, where I need to go for holiday and for a treat and out for dinner. These ones are like automatically cut down. And yet, we used to do them before this pandemic happened, We used to do them.
So there was money for them.
Exactly.
When
there was
you
so
hear
much
about
money.
self-preservation, self-preservation requires that we look at things much more keenly. One of the things that we really need this season is to have our immunity up. And if there's something that destroys your immunity, it's negativity.
Negativity.
If you're negative, you're injuring your immunity. We cannot afford to be negative at this time. We have, it's a negative world, it's a thick world, but we must look for positive things. That is why it is critical that we try to do nutritional balance and eat well. That is why it is critical we exercise, whatever exercise might mean. We've seen in places where things are much more thicker than we are, whether we're looking at Spain or Italy, people have found a clear new use for the balcony.
Yes.
Go to our balcony.
Yes.
It is not only the place to do all your exercises. It is the place to step out in the evening and worship with your neighbors. Everybody on their own balcony. It is the place to bring in your violin or your guitar, or whatever we have. So we have to try and be positive. Avoid looking at negative sources. In fact, one of the things that we need to cut off is negative comments. It's those tutors that are toxic, because as we're going to get more hopeless, you're going to actually worsen your immunity. So the fighting chance gets much lower. We need to look for positive content. We need to look for positive things so that we can actually stay much stronger. We are together home, many of us as a family, and it is time to look for family bonds and look for things we can communally be able to do together and enjoy. Tell stories. Let's rediscover what we lost. Let's keep the phones aside and start telling stories. Okay, let's tell jokes. Let's tell riddles. Those of us who are lucky, we met our grandmoms and they told us riddles. I think it is time to revive those riddles so that then we find we are spending less time watching TV, because actually if you watch TV, and I must say people need not watch this show, they need to. A lot of times the news are very, very negative. It's just the number of people who passed on here, the number of people who've been infected here. So yes, we need to watch TV, but reduce the negative content that we are absorbing.
Yes, we truly need a positive mindset at this time, because just negativity is not going to help us in any way at all. If we're only going to bank on the fear of tomorrow that we do not know about, then this is not going to be helpful at all, because as much as people are planning, and even as you're advising us, Mr. Wahome, to plan and try and scale down and space, our 200,000 that was supposed to take us for 4 months, much as you're telling us that you now stretch it for 6 months, there are people whose minds have already gone to the 7th month, and just this has made them already depressed. There are people who are not willing to take something lesser. There are also people who are not willing to downgrade. It's not in them to do this. And as they downgrade, because the children ask a lot of questions and people ask you many things, you don't want to put yourself in that position. And because of this, you get into depression so easily. I wish actually that as you teach us on how to spend and how to scale down, that people can also have a lot of positivity in their mind during this season.
I think it's, again, self-preservation.
Yes.
It is each one of us to try and preserve ourselves. Yes. And negativity doesn't help. One of the things we need to be certain, nothing lasts forever.
Yeah, true.
This is not the first pandemic. We had one 100 years back. And that was even worse than this one, because it came after World War. So there was a lot of devastation, and it was actually killing much faster, because it was killing within 12 hours. Okay? So this is not the end. There must be opportunities beyond here. So we must think about the future and let our mind start exploring what the future is going to look like. But meanwhile, to stay strong, we say build our relationships. Let's build our relationship with our children, with our spouses. Let's take time to cheer up each other. Call a friend. cheer them up.
Yeah.
In fact, we've discovered now you don't even call. We actually do a video call
Yes.
so that you can even see them.
Yes.
That's helping people to have a smile, okay? A lot of people have found ways to come into Zoom
Yes.
and Google Hangout and Skype
Yeah.
and Facebook Live, you know, and Instagram Live.
Yeah.
And I've seen even some of our musicians are doing live shows to keep people entertained.
Yeah.
It is time to be responsible citizens, but it is time for us to stay positive. I think we owe ourselves the duty of staying positive.
Yes, staying positive and spending wisely and scaling down on things that we must not have, and planning. You know, we cannot stop planning. I don't know whether you actually think that just because of this uncertainty, then we stop to plan.
If we say nothing lasts forever, then we have faith in tomorrow.
Yes.
And so what we are saying to ourselves is, we don't know how long it will take, but when it is over, God being our helper,
Yes.
our children will go back to school. Okay? We
Yes.
will go back to work.
Yes.
Whatever is going to be called work then, we will go back to that work. Isn't it?
Yes.
We will still do the things that we need to do. So we need to maintain hope so that we're able to look ahead. And that's why we're looking for positive places. Saying if you can learn something, a new skill, learn a new skill. It might help you in the future. We are increasingly being forced into a digital economy. Now we advance to cash money. We are looking at digital money.
Yes.
And that's the way things are going to go.
Yes.
Now, I've seen for all of you people in the studio, now you're not inviting guests on set.
No.
You're actually doing Zoom calls like we're doing.
Yes.
So there's going to be change. We need to have new skills that can see us through tomorrow. And we need to have hope. This is not the first time there's been a lockdown. This is not the first time there has been a pandemic. They have been there before, even when people didn't have as many means as we have today, and they have scaled through. So we have a chance to scale through too.
Okay, Mr. Wahome, we are winding up, and my question is going to, is targeting the people who are businessmen and have staff to pay.
Yes.
I think that this pandemic and this situation has actually brought up a new world for them. It has been such a great eye-opener because they have realized that probably they don't need some staff. They can do a lot of things digitally if they have managed this time. And moving forward, they may have to make a lot of changes, even especially on the way they have been spending. They have realized that things they were able to do without physical manpower. I don't know what your advice to them planning forward or in the future on this. And I don't mean that it is good to lay off workers, but should this come up, and this is another idea that maybe this disadvantage may have brought in, to be an advantage or something that works better. What do you think advising those who are in business right now and they're seeing greater opportunities moving forward and coming into the future?
Let's agree we are all in a business, all of us.
Yes.
Each one of us. It could be different. You may be thinking as an employee, but you're in a business.
Yes.
The reality is we have been forced into a digital world that's very different. Things will change.
Yes.
And things are unlikely to be the same again. People have realized they don't need all the floor space they have been occupying.
Yes.
People have found it is practical to work at home and reduce costs. So if you are an employer and your people are able to work at home, in fact, they will not demand many things. They don't demand transport from you. They might actually demand less. Okay, but we have found new jobs that have come up.
Yes.
I think one of the courier companies has had to hire a lot of people.
Yes.
Supermarkets have had to work with courier companies. So what's going to do? Jobs are going to shift. People will not be laid off. New skills will be required. And that's why I said learn a new skill, because the skills that we might need tomorrow are not the skills we have today. And businesses will be done differently. We have a nice station for people who are innovative, and we have very innovative geniuses. I'm sure you've seen a lot of people who've actually been able to make systems for washing hands without you touching anything. You can actually be able to get soap onto your hand and water without touching. We've seen a lot of that innovation. We have seen the people doing that. And that's the innovation, that's the thinking that's going to get us ahead. Things are going to change. Business will be done differently. When we got bookshops like Amazon, people did not understand how can you have a bookshop that actually is so far away. But we have seen that work. We now have Uber Eats.
Yes.
And so that's changing the way restaurants work. Okay? Now, so we're going to see everybody is going to be revolutionized. We have traditionally been shaking hands. We've been hugging. And now those are the things we really want to stay away from. The same way we are going to stay away from things that used to be very routine. So things are going to change. And so it behoves each one of us, whether you're in business or not in business, to ask ourselves, what will get me to be valuable in the future? Because if I'm valuable in the future, there'll be a business opportunity for me, and there will actually be a job for me. If I don't have the skill for the future, it is going to be very unfortunate because I'm going to be left behind. Many years back, there were people selling typewriters in the city.
Yeah.
Now, today, actually, you cannot see a typewriter. There are people who don't even know what a typewriter looks like.
Yeah.
Because times have changed. And that's the same change that we're going to go through. Just that this one is going to be a bit more rapid. Because we have been forced, it is going to be a bit more rapid. So the question for every one of us is, do I have the skills for tomorrow? That tomorrow, I don't know when it is. But when tomorrow comes, do I have the skill for tomorrow?
True.
If I'm in business, is my business going to survive in that tomorrow? Because some businesses will close.
Yeah. True.
But new businesses will open.
Yes.
And so a lot of businesses will change the way they do their things.
And that's it,
Yes.
Mr. Wahome. You can see that there's a lot of productivity that is going to come out, and with a lot of positive change, even though right now we cannot see it. Right now we can only complain about the situation, but moving forward and in the future, we can actually see a lot of positive change, a lot of great change on how to do many things. And like you said, there are going to be lots of businesses that are going to come up. I'm looking at this also. Please speak to this employer or this businessman who is going to get into, after this. There's a way we have been spending our money, and not maybe only just businessmen, but even individuals. We have been spending our money just carelessly and lazily, not knowing how to properly plan. But today you have taught us very well and so categorically how we ought to spend, and also how we ought to scale down at this time. After this situation, we get back and some of us make more money or make the same money. How do we behave at that level? Do we now just throw ourselves into, we have starved a lot, it's time to enjoy? What do we do moving forward?
I think people will have learned their lessons. There is something we all need. It is called financial intelligence.
Okay.
And financial intelligence is our ability to deal with money and money issues. And the way we build a financial intelligence is through financial literacy. We need to learn that which they missed out in the school. Remember, they never taught us in school. And we don't blame our teachers. I'm told it was never in the curriculum. Maybe we should blame the guys who make the curriculum. So we have to learn those things. So, and over the years, I have taught contingency planning, and I'm very happy. A lot of people have come back to say that lesson has been so helpful.
Wow.
I can actually see how we are going to survive for the next 6 months, for the next 9 months, because they learned contingency planning. So we will obviously see a lot more people who will want to be well equipped in terms of financial literacy, and people who will actually want to be more equipped in using financial tools.
Wow.
Because we must learn to be good savers and not spenders. In this country, we are good spenders, we are not good savers. Even in the other countries where people are able to sustain indoors when they are locking down, it's because they have a saving culture and people have reserves that they can actually be able to use. In this country, we do not have a saving culture. A lot of people actually, not necessarily that they don't have an income, they have an income, but it is all paycheck to paycheck. And that's going to change, whether for businesses or for individuals. So I will urge people that when we get through this, take time, look for financial books to read, look for financial programs to enroll. And we are happy to have you at the Personal Finance Academy, or you can actually join any other institution, but equip yourself, because we do not want to find ourselves in a situation where I'm actually out of cash within a few days and I do not know where else to go. As long as we are going to have some income, I think we need to be able to know contingencies will always come our way. Whether it is us getting out of income or whether it is emergencies showing up, which we had not prepared for. Those things will always happen. That's how life happens, and life is not going to change. And what we cannot be able to carry through, that's why we do something called risk transference. We do something we call insurance. And people will understand where insurance comes in, because it gets in very handy in seasons like this. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Wahome. You have tuitioned us greatly, and we are very glad that we're able to get this for free. I hope that we can find many people to join the School of Personal Finances to just learn about finance intelligence. Surely, many times you've just known about emotional intelligence, you've known about IQ as well, but there's also financial intelligence that we ought to have learned long time ago before getting into the situation where we are in today. And I am so glad that I was able to be part of this class today, and I hope that viewers, you have also learned a lot from what Mr. Wahome has been streaming in to us. I hope that you have a lot of take home, especially that, you know, you have to have a positive mind. Things are not gonna be like this forever. Things are going to change soon, and we must be the saving culture, not just the spendthrifts that we have been. And because of that, I really appreciate that Mr. Wahome was here to take us through this very important lesson that we need for this time. Thank you also, viewer, for watching. It has been truly a really lovely time, and I would like Mr. Wahome to just give us his contacts, just so that we are able to connect people to this academy. Please do so, sir.
Thank you. Very quickly, you can actually get us. We are easily available. You can get us on YouTube, Personal Finance Academy Kenya. You can get us on Facebook. You can get us on Twitter. We have a website, www.pfa.co.ke, PFA, Peter, Francis, and Andrew.co.ku. You can actually get us on any of those. You can give us a call on 0708 150 137. 0708 150 137. We'll answer your questions. We'll be able to work with you. If you actually just go to our YouTube channel, you're going to find many things that you can actually learn, even as you stay indoors. If you want to get in touch, you're welcome. We can be able to work together.
Wow. Thank you. And I hope that those classes are available online right now for people who want to learn. I am so excited that you were able to tune in and watch this episode in Chungu cha Jamii. My name is Betty Akuku. I have been your host. Till next time, see you.